Argentina's president, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, is facing a possible indictment. She's alleged to have concealed Iranian involvement in a 1994 Jewish center bombing that killed 85 people. The special prosecutor, Alberto Nisman, died a month ago after suspicious circumstances surrounded his death. For more now, we're joined by Louisa Cefeidas. She works with the business there, actually in Argentina's economic and political offices there. Louisa is joining us live from Buenos Aires via Skype. Louisa, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
What evidence actually do prosecutors have to charge the president, Fernandez, with helping Iran to cover up its alleged role in that 94 bombing of the Jewish Community Center?
Well, we've seen that the substance of the accusations that were originally made by Nisman, the prosecutor who was killed a month ago, and have been taken up since by this current prosecutor, there's quite a lot of holes in the actual accusations themselves. So there's not a lot of solid ground on which the prosecutor has decided to send the case to the judge, but that doesn't mean that eventually at some point the judge may decide to indict the president.
What do they actually allege her motivation would have been for doing this?
They allege that there was some sort of deal between the Argentinian government and the Iranian government, a trade for oil and grains. However, it has been widely discredited based on information from a variety of sources, particularly the fact that Argentina does not actually import oil, and if it did, it wouldn't import the type of oil that Iran produces.
I see. What do you actually think, Louisa, the likelihood of her actually being charged and prosecuted? She is protected as long as she is president, obviously.
Yes, that's correct. It's difficult to determine the likelihood in something like this. There are obviously lots of things to take into consideration, and the case itself has been largely politicized. So it's difficult to say 100%. What we do know is that it will probably take quite a while, many months, and perhaps even longer than that, for the judge to decide whether he will indict or not. But as I said previously, the allegations as they stand and the evidence that is currently before the court is quite weak at the moment.
Let's go back to Alberto Nisman, who was found dead a day before his findings were to be made public in the case. There's this massive demonstration, which is now planned by the prosecutors there in the streets, demanding a fair investigation into his death. Who do they believe is responsible for his death?
It's very unclear at the moment who is responsible for his death. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there are still many facts that have yet to be discovered. They believe that there was some sort of involvement by perhaps the intelligence services or elements of the government, perhaps even the president herself. However, so far there has been no evidence of this connection, and to this point it still seems as though it may possibly have been a suicide. However, they are deciding to take to the streets on Wednesday, on the 18th of February, to demonstrate against how the government has handled Nisman's case so far, and ideas that perhaps justice is not going to be done in the long term.
How detrimental do many of the people there believe that this whole scandal surrounding her will be to her party when the elections are held in December or in October?
Well, although the allegations at the moment are quite detrimental to the president herself and to the Kirchner legacy, her husband was president before her, and they've been in power for almost 10 years. At the same time, Cristina, the president, has not so far identified a political heir or a political candidate who will take over from her government. As such, the political impact will largely be contained, and it is yet to see how the other presidential candidates will benefit from this crisis in the long term.
Louisa Richey, thank you so much, joining us live from Buenos Aires.
You're welcome. Thank you.